The footage begins without sound. A hallway, fluorescent lights flickering, a security camera timestamp in the corner, and then movement. A man, identified by online users as Menglong, steps out of the elevator. He appears unaware that within seconds, something will happen that allegedly leaves him shaken and forces questions no one can yet fully answer. From the far end of the corridor, a figure approaches. There is no clear audio, no visible exchange of words. Then sudden motion. The video cuts abruptly, and that is where the speculation begins. Because what happened in that hallway has since ignited a storm of online debate, conflicting accounts, and unanswered questions. Was it truly a brutal attack, as some headlines claim? Or is the story far more complicated than the short, grainy clip suggests? What we know, according to available information, is this. Menglong, a well-known actor and public figure, reportedly resides in a high-security residential building. The footage, allegedly sourced from internal surveillance cameras, began circulating late at night through private messaging groups before spreading rapidly across social media platforms. Within hours, the narrative escalated. Some claimed he had been ambushed. Others insisted it was a targeted confrontation. A few suggested the footage had been edited to conceal what really happened before and after those few critical seconds. But that wasn't the most disturbing part. The most disturbing part was what we didn't see. There are reportedly multiple cameras in that corridor, yet only one short clip has surfaced publicly. No wide-angle view, no elevator interior footage, no follow-up showing what happened immediately afterward. According to online commentators who claim familiarity with the building's security system, recordings typically capture continuous footage. So why does this segment end so abruptly? That question has fueled speculation that the clip may not represent the full story. Shortly after the footage spread, representatives allegedly connected to Menglong's management released a brief statement. The statement reportedly acknowledged an incident, but urged the public to avoid spreading unverified claims. It did not confirm the severity of the situation. It did not describe injuries. It did not name any suspect. And that silence only deepened the mystery. Eyewitness accounts, reportedly from residents of the building, began to surface anonymously. One individual claimed to have heard raised voices earlier that evening. Another suggested there had been tension involving an unidentified visitor earlier that week. But none of these claims have been independently verified. What adds complexity is Menglong's public profile. As a recognizable figure in entertainment, he has long maintained a carefully curated image. No recent controversies had surfaced publicly. No known disputes had made headlines. So if this was, in fact, an attack, what was the motive? Random violence inside a secured building is statistically rare. Target confrontations, however, often stem from personal disputes, professional conflicts, or misunderstandings that escalate, yet there is currently no confirmed evidence pointing in any specific direction. But that wasn't the most unsettling detail. Several viewers who analyzed the clip frame by frame noted that Yu appears to turn slightly before the approaching figure closes in. Some argue this suggests he may have recognized the individual. Others believe the movement is too subtle to interpret. Without clear audio or a longer segment, interpretation becomes speculation, and speculation spreads fast. Online forums have reportedly been flooded with theories ranging from obsessive fan encounters to business disagreements. Some even question whether the footage is recent at all, suggesting it could be old material resurfacing out of context. At this point, authorities have not publicly confirmed the nature of the incident. No official arrest announcements have been widely circulated. No formal police report has been released to media outlets, according to available public records. The lack of verified updates has created an information vacuum, and in an information vacuum, narratives grow. Independent reporting like this relies on careful review of available evidence and viewer support to continue examining stories that mainstream headlines move past too quickly. Because here's what remains unanswered. Why has no full-length footage been released? Why have official details remained so limited? And why did the clips surface through unofficial channels rather than through a formal statement? There is also the question of timing. The footage emerged during a period when Menglong was reportedly involved in upcoming projects. Industry insiders, speaking anonymously in online discussions, have suggested that negative publicity, even unverified, can disrupt promotional cycles and contractual negotiations. But again, that remains speculation. What is clear is this: something occurred in that hallway. Whether it was a brief altercation, a misunderstanding, or something more serious, the public has only been shown a fragment, and fragments can be misleading. The clip ends before we see the resolution. It ends before any intervention. It ends before clarity. And sometimes, what's cut out matters more than what's left in, which leads to a deeper question. Who decided what the public gets to see? Because in cases like this, narrative control becomes almost as important as the event itself. And as more viewers dissect the footage, freeze frames, and analyze body language, the mystery doesn't shrink. It grows. In the days following the leak, online discourse reportedly shifted from shock to suspicion. Digital analysts began examining the timestamp displayed in the corner of the video. Some questioned whether the date format aligned with the building's known surveillance systems. Others suggested compression artifacts indicated the clip may have been re-recorded from a screen rather than exported directly. If true, that detail could imply selective sharing. But selective by whom? Building management has not publicly commented. Requests for clarification, according to several entertainment news bloggers, allegedly went unanswered. Meanwhile, Menglong himself has not made a personal statement addressing the footage directly. Silence can mean many things. It can mean legal advice is being followed. It can mean investigations are ongoing. Or it can mean that the situation is more complicated than a 20-second clip can capture. But that wasn't the only development. A secondary rumor reportedly surfaced suggesting that the individual in the footage may have had prior access to the building. If accurate, that detail would significantly shift the narrative away from random intrusion and towards something more personal. However, no official confirmation supports that claim. And this is where the story becomes less about a hallway confrontation and more about information control. Why do certain stories explode overnight while others disappear quietly? Why does partial footage surface instead of full documentation? And why do clarifying statements often remain vague? There is also the broader context to consider. Public figures in high-density residential complexes often face unique security challenges. Even with controlled access, delivery personnel, guests, contractors, and residents move in and out daily. One weak link in protocol can create vulnerability. If this was a security breach, what changes are being implemented? If it was a personal dispute, why has no clarification been offered to prevent escalating rumors? As days pass without concrete updates, the incident begins to shift from a question of what happened to what aren't we being told? Because transparency tends to calm public concern. Silence, on the other hand, often amplifies it. Some observers have pointed out that Menglong's recent schedule reportedly included demanding filming commitments. Stress, exhaustion, and privacy concerns can all intensify everyday interactions. But again, without verified accounts, these remain possibilities rather than conclusions. And that distinction matters. It's important to separate allegation from evidence. At this stage, there is no confirmed public documentation describing severe injury. There is no verified arrest announcement. There is no official timeline detailing the events before or after the hallway encounter. Just a clip, a short, unsettling clip. And questions. What makes this case particularly compelling is not visible violence alone. It's the incomplete narrative. The human mind instinctively tries to fill in missing pieces. And when information is scarce, imagination often does the rest. But the truth in most cases is quieter and more complex than viral speculation. Until verified details emerge, all conclusions remain provisional. Yet the incident does raise larger issues: celebrity privacy, building security protocols, digital rumor amplification, and the ethics of circulating unverified footage. Because once a clip enters the internet ecosystem, control disappears. Reputations can shift overnight, and perception can harden before facts are established. So what really happened in that hallway? At this moment, the honest answer is, we don't fully know, But the absence of clarity does not erase the importance of asking careful, measured questions. As this situation continues to unfold, updates may surface that reshape everything we think we understand about those few seconds of video. If you want to follow developments as verified information becomes available, staying connected to independent investigations like this helps ensure that nuance isn't lost in noise. Stories like this don't end when the clip stops. Sometimes, that's exactly where they begin. And if more footage, official statements, or confirmed findings emerge, we'll examine them piece by piece, carefully, responsibly, and in pursuit of clarity rather than chaos. Because in cases clouded by speculation, keeping the truth visible requires patience, critical thinking, and continued attention. The hallway lights may have flickered for only a moment, but the questions they illuminated are still very much alive.